6 players a table, 5 D&D DMs, 4 RPG systems, 3 time slots, 2 test streams, and 1 wild idea that raised over $15,000 for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Today, we're going behind the scenes of Tabletop for Chop on this episode of the Vanguard Chronicles. Welcome, everyone, to the Vanguard Chronicles podcast, where we have an ongoing conversation into the creative process behind the Vanguard, our monthly crowdsourced D&D campaign of interconnected one-shots. I'm one of the hosts and dungeon masters of the Vanguard, as always, Nathan, also known as Spark Ascendant, and I'm joined, as always, for the final time in 2024 by my co-host and fellow Vanguard DM, Sean, also known as General Grom. Happy holidays, and how are you doing, General?
I'm doing great, Nathan. Happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to everybody out there that is watching and listening on our various social media channels. It's been a wonderful year. We have done quite a bit, done way more than I thought we could ever, achieve. So yeah, it's and we've been gone for a little bit. So we'll say, hey, thanks for hanging in there. It's been a busy last 3 months. We've kind of crammed 3 really special events together.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of those special events because we really planned it really, really well for timing. We had a major, the biggest thing I think any of us have ever attempted in a Dungeons and Dragons context. For what it's worth, we had an election here in the States the exact day afterwards, which was a thing that happened. And then we had another event to do, and then it's been the holiday season. So we've been a little spotty this month, but trust me, we've been keeping busy just, with personal stuff. We're tired. But today's episode, we want to talk about that very special event. We're going to be talking about the process behind Tabletop for Chop, because this was such a passion project and we put so much effort into it. And honestly, a chunk of why we started this podcast, aside from the fact that we're just having fun doing it, is we have been having such an amazing experience running the Vanguard, organizing this. Sean's vision has grown in so many incredible ways. And now, as we've all brought our own unique visions to it, we want to share that with as many of you as possible. And we could think of no better way to do that than to give some of the behind the scenes behind our Tabletop for Chop event, which also, by the way, you can find the VOD of on this very YouTube channel at Vanguard Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube. But also there's more going on that we do for Chop as well, specifically. Ryan, why don't you take us with the charity stuff?
Well,
Sean, son of a gun. Yep.
Yeah. Should I have my name up there? Would that help?
Yeah, that would help. Yeah, you can tell we're rusty with it. Sean, I did it again. Sean, why don't you take us with the charity stuff?
I think we, as we try so much here, and we're tired. We've been working really hard putting a lot of this together. So, yeah, the charity is extralife.org. As we started in January, and this has been our first full year of running the 50/50 raffles at our events, the themed beer tap, so that those that buy that beer will contribute to the charity, and all those things, from Golden Alchemy and the dice trays and Misty Mountain and the Vanguard code to get 10% off, and all that stuff that's been contributing to the charity throughout the entire year. We've raised a ton of money. We'll get into those numbers later. But yeah, if you want to contribute, we have the QR code on the screen. There's be links down in the description on ways that you can just donate directly to extralife.org, because it does help Children's Hospital and the Children's Miracle Network, specifically for us, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, because that's the closest to us. But yeah, the charity has been something that has grown so immense over the course of this year. It's been pretty wild. And to all those sponsors and all those partners that we've made throughout the year, thank you so much. It has really helped us kind of put us on the map. And I'm sporting my hoodie from the Vanguard hoodie, which you can get. We have a store that we opened, and for a limited time for that purpose. So it was fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at also. We also have knit wool caps. Looking at a baseball cap in the camera you guys can't see with our producer Ryan, but he's sporting that as well too.
Mhm.
Misty Mountain has partnered with us to make a set of custom dice for us that look
That's new.
amazing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll flash a picture up on screen. I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah.
looking at mine right here. They rolled a 16 on the first one, so they're balanced well. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've this has just been an amazingly explosive and cool year for us, and we're just having. I'm having a blast with it.
Yeah, I'm having an absolute wonderful time, and to all the people that have supported us, and it really, it's just a heartfelt thank you, and those that have been behind the scenes behind our scenes, helping us develop these ideas in our guild itself. And we've always been very transparent about our ideas, what we think we're going to do, and we talked about the Night of Falling Stars, which was a huge kind of, a very, I don't know how to say it. We weren't even sure what kind of an evening that was going to turn out to be, and that was a big event, kind of backing up right into Tabletop for Chop. And Tabletop for Chop was really just kind of an idea, a thought, something I kind of had in January. I thought it'd be kind of neat to maybe live stream some of these games, figure out a way that we could do it almost telethon style. I had been talking about it, and I know I've made the joke more than once that if you mention anything around our producer Ryan, there's a good chance it's going to become a reality. So you better be prepared to take on that task that you may have just thought of.
Yeah, well, why don't we go ahead and start to go into the behind the scenes on Tabletop for Chop specifically?
Yeah,
In fact, actually, let's cut in clean, because you're getting new viewers all the time here. So,
yeah.
Sean, why don't you tell me? Give me a sales pitch. What exactly is? We said it's on the YouTube channel for people to go watch, as well as I think restreaming on our Twitch too. But what
Yeah.
exactly was Tabletop for Chop 2024?
Tabletop for Chop was an idea of let's stream three games of what it would be like to, for people who have come to our events and enjoyed it. Timothy's of Newark, that tavern game style that we have 7 narrative tables, all the excitement that we generate and the fun we generate. We decided let's put it into a stream and maybe, bring people outside of our game and around the world, around the internet, to take a look at it and see what they thought and contribute to a cause that's very near and dear to our heart. And so with that, it kind of built up over the idea of milestones and creating all these little incentives to have people donate and create, more money for the charity and going directly to the charity. So we tried to make sure that we were very transparent about where that money was going and where, so everybody could take advantage of it.
It very much was an idea, I think, in many ways, in the spirit of kind of a microcosm of a lot of what the Vanguard has been. Because first and foremost, it was an idea that you dropped that I'm like, this boy's crazy. I'm like, this really like big idea. And it was also, I think, a really cool opportunity for us to give back to the community, not just the community in northern Delaware, where we live and where we play, and to give back to our players and for our players to give back to us through just the community nerdery D&D experience, but also to actually give to like our community in the greater sense by helping to support the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which was such a cool thing. And we'll talk a little bit more too in which the other community partnerships we had in going through that too. But I think God, there were so many specific elements that we had to plan to get ready to host the live stream, which none of us had really done before.
Yeah, I mean, with my background in television, I have a little bit of, understanding of television production and kind of like at least some of the logistics. So I started to dig in what could we do? How could we do it? And looked at a couple other companies that just were out of our budget. There was no way we were going to pull that off.
Right.
So we decided, let's start to kind of in-house it a bit. And Ryan's absolute dedication and commitment to creating a graphics package for this whole thing was second to none. He was the one who partnered up with SyntheticOak, who was a absolute gem
Right.
of a person, contributing all that graphic elements and tying them all together through the Google sheet that Ryan figured out how to do, because I had no idea how to do it. Some of the just computer stuff that, I mean, I have some computer knowledge, but nowhere near what some of you guys do. So it really helped build this. And Laren, one of our other DMs, is an IT person, got involved very much in figuring out some of the IT mechanics behind all this. There was some technical glitches. I'm not going to say there wasn't, but from our perspective, to try to figure out how to do something that wasn't going to be just, I don't use for half-ass. We weren't going to do it that way. That's
Right.
never been the way we do something. So we approached it to try to be as professional as we could. And I think, you can, all this stuff is, available. We'll definitely have links for the live streams. You can watch them again and check them out, because it was a wildly long day. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it definitely was. Well, I mean, yeah, well, you kind of said it really gave a taste of it there, but it really was all hands on deck from the beginning
Yeah.
of the planning.
Yeah.
Because we had, I know, even just I know you kind of took off with the running of just kind of just getting the stream set up, learning the tech stack for, what was it? You had OBS you were using. What other software were
Yeah.
you running?
With OBS, Streamlabs, we got kind of connected with them a bit, and that was something we were using. OBS specifically, but then we dug into all this other NDI network stuff, which is, again, it's a lot of just technical jargon that I'm
Sure.
not sure I can even articulate in a very good way. So it is more of this, trying out that, making it work. How many cameras can I put into one laptop and make them function? And that was a trick, and which cables I could use, and finding out what actually worked, what didn't work. I had so many things that went back and forth to Amazon. Got something, nope, that didn't work. Send it back.
Oh my God, the microphones alone, I know, were a particular like
Yeah,
white whale for you. We
yeah,
had in this process of just prepping and planning, like I legitimately, everyone who's watching this and listening to this should know that, yeah, Critical Role, oh my God, I'm so Dimension
Dimension 20.
20,
Yeah,
like all of these people, like we went through the ringer, we got the taste of what they do, and
right.
I'm so we're clear, I'm not saying that we hit a level of quality that, like, oh, we're the next Critical, like, I'm not saying that, but to
No.
put out even the level of quality we did, which, like, I think we put on a pretty cool show.
Yeah, I think
So
we did too.
it took so much, like, it really, it kind of, it felt like a special event in that, like, we really were, like, every character from across the multiverse of just people we knew, like friends from outside of the Vanguard, people
Hmm.
in the Vanguard got involved. Because, yeah, we had one of our DMs, Laren, was helping you with networking stuff. As you said, Ryan reached out to a creator on Etsy, SyntheticOak, who created like a
Hmm.
digital graphics package. That's how anyone who's watched the stream, if you notice the kind of the art around just the icons and the stats for the players who were playing, let
Right.
alone the I believe we had was Mythweaver, the ethical AI we got to do
Yep. He did a
the
nice
art.
interview with me. Yep. Which I'll
Yep.
have again. We'll post again.
Yeah, we had,
Uh,
which also, yeah, we interviewed that creator as well too. We had Jesus, even just getting the venue set up, because we wanted to partner with Timothy's, and we just their hours wouldn't work out for us.
right.
So then partnering with Days of Nights, like the
Yeah.
oldest game store in Delaware,
Yeah.
in the state. They've been around longer than I've been alive, I'm pretty sure. And partying with them and getting them to host in the background, as in the back room for us. Like, we were calling on all the, I don't even want to say calling in favors, but just calling in anyone who was willing to help. And we found so many people who just like the vibe we were bringing to it, like the energy we were bringing to it, and wanted to contribute. And I really think it, it shows in what we put out.
Yeah, 100%. Days of Nights have our, as the Vanguard, our eternal gratitude for allowing us to have that room, allowing us to pretty much have carte blanche as a store to do what we needed to do to produce this the way we wanted to. There was a really fun little setup with my cell phone, where I could just kind of go anywhere within the store and put the cell phone down and start doing the interviews, and that was kind of fun. And going out, being able to go outside, all the stuff we had to practice. They allowed us to have a day. We did two tests. We did a test out of my house, just for one of them.
Right.
Could we even logistically get this on the internet? What would be our biggest limitations? And microphones were one of them in the beginning.
Yep.
And that
Anyone
stream
who
again is available too. So
like is, again, I like, I keep reiterating this point, because genuinely, when we part of the reason we're doing this and sharing this is because we want to be able to inspire people. We want people to see, like, what us, let's be clear, like, this is, first off, this is all volunteer, right? None of us get paid for
mhm,
this. We're all
right,
just doing this because it's fun and it's interesting to us, and we're passionate about it, and we enjoy doing it. And I want people to understand, anyone who watches this, that, like, even what if you see the stream and you're like, oh my God, they did such a cool job, man, I wish I could do something like that. Go watch the test streams,
yeah,
because legitimately, especially that first one, dog, the audio was rough. Like
yeah. It was
that,
rough. It was bad.
all of that was just iterating, and that was practice, because much like even this podcast, like going back and listening to like our first couple episodes, all of this is stuff that we have just been learning by doing
Right.
over in this case months, but over the past year and a year plus with the games we've been doing. It's all been this iterative process, and Tabletop for Chop really felt like just this amalgamation of all of this that we've been building, which was just such a cool thing to be a part of.
Well, watching it kind of come together and each little piece kind of fit into the next piece, and this is before we even got into the world of why and the storyline and all that extra processing. This was just, could we do it? Could we put a stream together that had any kind of groundwork and where we'd started? In the first test, even though the audio was rough, there was a lot that was good. There was a lot that actually worked, and we're like, okay, this gave me a lot of, and I will say this gave me a lot of encouragement. So then we worked even harder. Brian and I put more effort into trying to figure out how to streamline and tweak and sweeten and add all the new stuff and all this extra stuff we put together. And then we had test number 2, and that was we could have. Here's the thing: test number 2, when you really think about it, could have gone south if the internet there was just not up to speed.
Yeah.
Well, then that's even after the first test, we ran into some issues. He went ahead and upgraded their entire internet for their entire store for the actual day of the event, so that they would be more prepared. So I was really happy about that. That Days of Nights went ahead and upgraded their whole internet infrastructure to help us out, and that was a huge lift in making sure that we were going to be able to send this signal out to Twitch and to YouTube. So kudos to them. But that was test number 2, where we had improved the audio, we improved the microphones. I remember, and I'll say this, with very true behind the scenes, I remember coming home after that and sitting in watching it on YouTube again, just really getting to watch it. Because when you're producing it, I'll tell you that you don't watch it. You're technically watching things, waiting for something to go wrong to fix it.
It's like the inverse of the director's curse.
Right. So I sat back and I watched it, and I got really emotional. And that we're going to pull this off. We're going to.
I remember you told me. Yeah, you told me and Ryan in our group chat. We were like, I was like, oh man, we gotta. This is gonna work.
This was so impressive. The second test was so impressive to me, and what we're able to step up to the next level, knowing that we have a little bit more time, and we're going to put a little bit more time into the rest of it, so that the day of would be just would be fun. But it would also, it had its stress, but in the end, it was fun. I had a great time. I was exhausted when it was over, but I had a great time.
Every test stream and then the real one, I came in and like there was some new, like there's the backdrop or there's like some new element to the setup, and every time I was like, whoa, like I was like suddenly I understood. I'm like, oh, that's what those messages that he like shot a 30 message burst in the group chat was. I missed a couple of those, or like he didn't mention this in the group chat at all. Like I'm going through and scrolling.
Right.
And then let's also not forget, like, so that's the streaming side of things, right? That's the putting on a show side. But then, mind you, we also had the story side, because we were running what we're streaming, games of D&D. And we went through a lot of iteration on exactly the kind of stories we wanted to tell and how we wanted to organize it. And so for those who haven't seen it yet, the plan we decided on, so for that day, we had 9 games that were run. 3 were graciously done by volunteers of Days of Nights. Oh my goodness, I'm mad I can't remember all the names. I remember Burke is one of them. We had 2 other DMs as well.
Josh Yoder was one of them.
Josh was one, and I forget who the other person, and Pete as well. So we had Burke, Josh, and Pete. And like they, by the way, ran games other than D&D as well. So they ran, we had Call of Cthulhu that day, X-Crawl Classics, and Monster of the Week. I'm mad I couldn't participate in the Monster of the Week one, because that just looked really cool. And then of course we had 6 Vanguard sessions, like actual D&D session run by our DMs. So we had we had 5 DMs because I ran 2 of them. Because we had the 3 on stream that you can again watch on our channel at Vanguard Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube. And also on Twitch. But then we also had 3 games off stream as well, because we wanted to, make more space for more people to play. Right. And then there was the added challenge of, mind you, again, when we talk about how like we sell out for our tickets every single month, we don't charge people for D&D. The only money people pay when they come to a Vanguard event is if they want to donate for the charity, right? And participate in the 50-50 raffle, or otherwise just make a donation. And then also we obviously asked if they patronize Timothy's new art. Because hey, they're giving us their space to use. We want to give them business as a trade-off. But as I've met, it's entirely free. Sean and I and Ryan, all our DMs, like we don't really feel a need to charge people for D&D. I know some people do, and I'm not saying it's opposed to it, but like we've found way more success and way more excitement. This isn't for money. We're doing this for fun and don't need to do it for money, So, but this time, because people are being charged tickets for Tabletop for Chop, charged for charity or not charged for charity, the point is they're paying money. And if someone's paying money to play at my table, dog, I better run a really good game where they have
that was something that we really emphasized amongst, and that kind of got into the discussions from the beginning, because in the original idea, I was going to run a game, you would run a game, maybe Ryan would run a game, and we didn't really know who was going to do what. And as the technical challenges kind of became apparent and some of the other processes in this, we realized that I'm going to have to handle a different aspect of this, and who's going to DM. And I want to send a shout out to Jeremy and to Charlotte, who both ran absolute dynamite games on the stream, and they really enjoyed it. Charlotte was our test DM subject, so to speak.
Right.
She was very generous to give her time and run some fun games for our test stream, and I thought that was very gracious of her, and absolute total thanks. But yeah, that was going into this knowing that we had to kind of, how we're going to do it. We're going to run old games, or we're going to run games that we'd have already run that are Vanguard centric? No, we felt it was probably best to continue our story, add to it, make it feel just like a regular session of the Vanguard.
I remember at one point you told me, you're like, Nathan, what do you think if we like made it the story of the history of the Vanguard? And like,
right, yeah, that was one idea.
I was like, no. I was like, please, because at that point I was also seeing the milestones that Craig was coming up with for things people could donate money for. I was like, do not make me run the origin of the Vanguard with a bunch of randy players who, I love our community, but they got a sense of humor, supercharged, Super Saiyan, Ultra Instinct, Ultra Overpower. Like, do not put that with me on camera, please. So we instead, like, we came up with the idea of letting this, because we wanted to still be an important story. So I said earlier, we kind of decided to do Vanguard in microcosm, where like normally, again, for any of our new listeners, so the gimmick of the Vanguard, when we say interconnected one-shots, if you come to a Vanguard event, it's kind of like your typical bar D&D experience where you can come, play a one-shot, leave, never come back. You hope you come back, but if you don't, it's cool. You're not necessarily missing out on anything. You're not, if you didn't come the week before, it's okay. You're just missing out on more fun games, right? But if you do come back, every DM writes a different session that month. So each table per month is unique. And then each month it's every DM rewrites a brand new session. And all those sessions interconnect. So they're all interweaving, telling one story. That's why we say an interconnected series of one-shots, all inspired by our players. So that's where the crowdfunding or crowdsourced campaign comes from. So we wanted to do that again, but where normally your story threads would, go month to month. And I think in game, we kind of unofficially say a month of time passes between each session. For Tabletop for Chop, we decided that because we had 3 games, we had a morning game, an afternoon game, and an evening game, and then 2 of each time slot. So we decided that the 2 morning games would occur simultaneously, directly follow and lead into the afternoon game, and then that would directly follow into the evening game. And what we came up for was, we've been talking about in our current story how our main villains, the monomaterial, have been after this glaive called Neuraxis, the Mage Killer, and the Vanguard's trying to stop them and get it. But we decided to make it so that we would tell the idea I came up with was we tell how the Vanguard finds out the exact order of their plan, right? What it is they're trying to do with the glaive. So we settled on game 1, right? Part 1. If you see a morning time slot, Vanguard discovers that the monomaterial is planning something big involving the Penitent, which are a group of mages they hire. The monomaterial hates magic. They want to purge it from the world. They want to take the stars to the earth. Since they hate magic, and anyone who's listened to older episodes of the podcast know we needed a way to still have magical enemies. They employ mages into their service,
Right.
voluntarily or otherwise. And the idea is being like, magic's dirty. I don't want to dirty myself with magic, so you dirty yourself with magic
Right.
for me.
Right. Right.
If you're listening and saying that sounds hypocritical, that's the point. But anyway, so we found out in game 1 of our trilogy through the day that they're doing something big with Neuraxis and the Penitent. That's the plan. Game 2, the Vanguard learns that there is a group of Penitent that are making plans to rebel against the monomaterial, was the initial idea we had. And then game 3, they would meet with these rebellious Penitent and actually learn the monomaterial's plan. So each of the morning sessions, although entirely different sessions, we're touching on that first point about learning about the existence of a big plan. Each of the afternoon sessions would then learn of the existence of like rebellious Penitent, and then each of the evening sessions would be dealing with rebellious Penitent and learning of the actual plan itself.
Right. That was really brilliant. I'm glad that you guys handled that and took that to a whole nother, like a different way of doing it. Because one of the original ideas, not to kind of go backwards, but one of the original ideas was that we would play the same 6 characters and different people would embody those characters. We thought that might be a fun way to do this. And then as we kind of got more into it, we realized that continuing our stories, making it feel like a Vanguard session, and also adding to the depth of our overall crowdsourced campaign was super important. And I think it really sold. I really enjoyed watching you guys just kind of develop that and not only watch it being executed was pretty wild too. So.
Oh, our Discord, like it's so funny. So among the hats, our producer wears is webmaster. And so our Discord like exploded like 30 new channels that were all just planning different elements of the of Tabletop for Chop. And I was definitely in the story planning of like, all right, cool, you got this. All right, you're connecting with this here. Oh, you're connecting with this here. Not like heavy-handed with it, as heavy-handed as that sounds. Because like with this, again, I keep repeating this, but it was kind of a mini version of what we do with the Vanguard, all kind of truncated in one day. We planned it that way, and we had come up with the story thread idea because another appeal of doing the Vanguard, it's part of why I started, is we wanted to give the DMs the freedom to run a game that's fun to them, that is interesting to them, and has some story flexibility, with the real emphasis being on the threads that they were dropping into, and the threads that they wanted to experiment with. They wanted to play with the stories that they uniquely wanted to tell. And it helped as well that since some of this was my idea, and I would be the last one on stream for the big punch too, that like what already was what I wanted to run. So it, just giving everyone else small threads that they could tease and still have fun running the games they wanted.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And in the atmosphere too, that was the other thing of the day of, man, the players brought it. They brought it hard. And it was so much fun to watch them come in costume and be just really into being, to playing Dungeons and Dragons, playing the Vanguard games. It was so much fun. I was blown away personally. I was just blown away by watching all that as everybody showed up.
You know what it reminds me of, and I know you can relate to this. It felt like if anyone who's done like theater or music or band or anything, like it felt like performance day. It felt like a mix of it was like performance day, but a whole day. Because especially for me, because I just had to come and run my 2 games. But then, and then otherwise I was kind of playing like in-person host, like kind of help running the table, just checking the vibes, being sure everyone's having a good time, and otherwise just floating, getting ready for my second game. But just, I remember it was just it just felt like it weirdly, for those who weren't playing the games, we had people who came by just to sit and watch in person. We had people who went home to watch on the stream. We had people who were then shopping at Days and Nights to patronize them and to get it on the discount that they gave, contributing to the charity and support in so many ways. And the atmosphere was just, it felt like an end of the year celebration, like just getting together with your friends and like, hey, we're low-key doing the same thing we've been doing, but now just doing it but bigger. And it was God, I keep saying the vibes, but dude, the vibes were amazing that day.
Everything was amplified. The whole day had a sense of just amplified to it. From playing D&D, our normal sessions have a really great, just enjoyable vibe. Everybody knows that. Everybody that's come has this fun atmosphere going on. And then when you threw the cameras involved, and you could see the monitors, and you could see all the special graphics and all the different cameras, and we had 6 cameras going. It was pretty wild, and that, I think, got people really into it, and just it just made it so much fun. I didn't. One of the players, I didn't even know it was him because he was in costume, and then he showed up later. I'm like, Frank, where the hell did you get here?
Oh yeah, he showed up in like in a wig
Oh.
with hair that went past his shoulders. I said, "Oh, are you cosplaying as Sean?" I
I was
it was
like,
good stuff.
I didn't even know that was him. That was the funny part.
And it was sick costume too.
It
Didn't
was
our
great.
barbarian didn't Martin wear like an abs t-shirt?
Yeah, he had a nice shirt with the abs and the muscle shirt, and he had the 3D printed skull mask, which was pretty cool.
Right,
All that stuff
yeah.
you guys can watch in the stream. I mean, when as a DM, and I think you can attest to this, that when you have players that are really into what you're doing and really into the idea, it just makes it that much easier for you to get your story out there, and just the vibe just amplifies, and it is so much fun. I always enjoy every session we have at the Vanguard, because all the players, and we know this, all our players really enjoy bringing their best, role playing, their best characters, just what they really enjoy, and it just makes the whole experience something, second to none. To be honest with you.
You know, like let this be a moment as well too for any players who are listening. I gotta say, this is both a thank you to our own players in our game to game as well as that particular day, but also just for any player who's never heard this said, man. I think sometimes when we say on the internet how, like, hey, remember a DM's is a player at the table too. It's a more defensive stance. It's a valid stance because, like, hey, the DM is a player at the table too. Don't be a jerk to your DM. Like, they work really
Right,
hard for
right.
you. But also, like, on a positive sense, if you want to make your DM's day, dude, it's like being a DM is like being a stand-up comedian, in that if they're not enjoying what you're doing and if they're not responding to it, like if everyone's thinks you're funny but they don't laugh, like that's hard because you're just sitting there like self-conscious. But when you have players who give the energy that you are giving to them right back,
Right,
God, it
right.
I live off it, man. And just
Yeah.
that entire day, like, it was a tiring day. It's a tiring week leading up, but God, I was jonesing the entire day. Just again, watching people play. There was a dance party, and my God,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm glad I wasn't DMing that nonsense.
yeah.
We we
It was
had
great
players.
though.
We had players
Uh,
among our milestones for our actual players. We had stuff like they got free level ups, free legendary items they could use in that session. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But at one table, I know Sergio, character Sergio,
yeah,
I forget what the item he had was, but it allowed him to have, and I quote, a dance party. So
yeah,
in the middle of Mike's session, they're like fighting in some ice cave. I forget the song they had playing, but like it might have been Car Wash or Raining Men. I'm not sure. It was something like that.
yeah. I don't
And
remember.
but yeah, he told me, he's like, "Oh yeah, oh, I got a thing. It's gonna make the enemies have a dance party." I'm like, "Are you at my table?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Good, all right, good. Enjoy, Mike."
Enjoy, have fun.
Yeah. So, but he did, yeah. So he did that. Our producer just sent a note that I've been building up towards. So what was really funny is it's an ice floor with transparent plastic that we have a guy with 3D printer, Martin, the guy with the abs. He prints stuff for us for free, just his way of contributing to all that we do.
Right.
He printed this ice floor with translucent plastic, and then another of our DMs who knew a very secret heard about the dance party, heard the music, and just walked up to the table and said, "It does this right." And he hit a button, and disco lights lit up as like an unknown feature in that ice floor. So they literally had a disco floor. It looked like, I
Yeah,
looked over, and anyone who knows the
yeah,
video game Crypt of the Necro Dancer, that's all I could think of. I saw just the flashing panel lights and this
yeah,
disco music going, and everyone's just grooving to a dance party.
yeah. That
Like
was that was
at one
so
o'clock
funny.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, that was really funny. Yeah, I thought that was so. And when he told me he was going to do it, I'm like, just, oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
of our players wanted to bring something extra special to the game as well, not just with their characters, but that just made the day. Just it was I want to say it was hard because it was fun. The whole time we were having fun, but we were kind of, committing to the time, and everybody's volunteering of their own time to do this. From the beginning of that day, getting there early in the morning and trying to get rehearsals and the little things. Because you're right, it did feel much like a band, like I was setting up for a concert, to
Yeah.
perform. From all of us is that we all had little parts to play, and everybody did a wonderful job with the small little tasks that everybody had to do, and it kind of came together really well. So
I just remembered that I was up till like 3 a.m. painting the night before, and then I got there at by 8:30, 9 o'clock, I think, in the morning.
yeah,
When I got there. Cause God, so I had 2 sessions to run that day. So I
yeah.
ran in the morning, I ran a blended party. So
Hmm.
the direction I wanted to go with it was in order to indicate that to kind of hint at this bigger plan the monomaterial is doing. The idea I kind of had was they were calling it the merging, right? So
Hmm.
the monomaterial, as you will learn on the if you watch the tabletop for Chop, is they are using the penitent, right? Their cadre of indentured mages to create a siphon and just kind of drain all the magic into them and through
Right.
them into Neuraxis as it nullifies magic. They're basically right. They're like creating the suction at the end of a pipe to siphon gas, the gas being the magic, and they're just dumping it into a thing that gets rid of it, right?
Right.
And so it's called a blended party because I have up behind me actually the painted model. Maybe we'll post a picture of it on the YouTube channel. Model from Dragon Trapper's Lodge on my mini factory. Called
Okay.
The Party. And the play on words is it's a well blended party is the name of the session because the party is a party of adventurers that have been merged and like molded into this. If you look up the model, we're not sponsored by Dragon Trappers Lodge. They just make some cool stuff. It's disgusting. Like it looks, especially the way I painted it, it's a gross model. That my mom also like broke the morning of, like just barely snapped the piece off. So it came without the sword. So they fought that and got the clue for it. But the one I was really nervous for, that was a great session. I ran that with Micah and with a couple of actually, I think her daughter, I think, played in that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
that was just a great session in general. That was a good fight. I had one player use I forget the name of the item, but it let him turn into a dragon. So we
Hmm.
had a kaiju fight in the middle of this cave as we had like the giant sludge meat
Hmm.
monster versus guy turns into a green dragon and like wrestles him and does the poison breath. I'm like, cool. So I described it like Godzilla 2014, where like the spines start lighting up as he goes. That was
Nice, nice,
that
nice.
that was a fun one. And then God, the one I was definitely nervous for in the lead up to. But again, kudos to our community for making such an I shouldn't say easy, but such an amazing time, which was not going back, which was the one I ran on stream.
Right.
Because I tell you, I had a couple talks I know with Ryan in particular, and then with you too, where I was like, man, we're about to be on stream telling an important story, and our players are all carrying nukes, like all
Right.
of them, like
Hmm.
this game. I was like, this game has the potential to be a disaster, and I have to be the one captaining it on camera.
And I'll say this too: that we all as DMs understand that players can get OP'd, overpowered very, very quickly. And as part of our milestones, and they took advantage of this, they got rare and legendary items. They got some stuff they could use. That
Leveled up
they
twice
leveled
beforehand.
up twice. Right? They got so many more perks that we had to try to adjust and scale towards, which was a very tricky thing to do. And you did an absolute amazing job, but our players did an amazing job not blowing the entire thing up. And our entire story, or everything that we've worked for the last 18 months up to that point, could have
I
been
tell you,
toasted.
if you want to know why I was up until 3 a.m. painting the night before, as well as if you want to know why, pardon me, if you want to know what I was most nervous about, and proof, by the way, of what an amazing community our player has, our group has. It's because of one legendary item that I got a message about. because I had a player who messaged me and was like, "Hey, just letting you know, I'm at your table and I'm bringing the Horn of Valhalla," which I did the math on. It basically, you blow the horn and you summon a bunch of Viking spirits.
Yeah.
And it's, I think I did the math. It's literally hundreds of HP added to the player's side.
Yeah.
On average, I think it's like at least a dozen, if not more. I forget. I did the numbers at the time. I forget them now. But it is like, what, especially if you know how 5e's balance around the hit economy, the action economy. I lose. It's a we win the fight and the DM loses the fight instantaneously button. And so suddenly I'm like, oh my God, because what I had already been planning, because, oh, by the way, he told me this 2 days before the event. And even he was hoping to maybe surprise me with it. But one of the other DMs was like, you should definitely let Nathan know that that's coming to his table on the live stream. So we all kind of had a talk before, and it was like, hey guys, FYI, I put in we all put in a lot of effort. Like, try not to blow up the stream within 5 minutes. They're like, nah, cool. Like, we all want to, get the full story. So I had to paint extra models. I think I painted like a whole 2. No, because I had the big giant stone dude was the main plan of what we were gonna run, and I had a body of 6 mages. So the plot I had was they encountered the Repentant. I think that's what the name we went with. I've got a little brain fog now. Who were rebellious penitent, and the rebellious penitent basically did a terrorist attack on the city, kicked everybody out, said, "Bring us the Vanguard." And when the Vanguard showed up, our players showed up. They're invited in. And they were told, like, yeah, we're being real with you. We invited you because we're going to try and kill you. We are trying to kill you because we've been told to try and kill you. Our boss has sent us there. Oh, Ryan just did the math. Over 1,000 HP would have been added. Yep. To the player side, which
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, a squad of mages that I worked really hard painting, like 6 models. So these smaller models that I think look really cool. They're some of my best models I painted this year. All of them really unique with unique special abilities, all of them with names and personalities. If you watch the session, half that don't matter. And then I painted this big ass golem that one of them was gonna summon to. It's like building size. It's part of like a test print Martin did and gave to me. I'm like, cool. And then yeah, they like blew through that in like minutes. Like a couple of them lived a little bit longer. And then I pulled out the golem at the last minute. And then I also painted like an Eldritch horror thing, like an old Cthulhu Wars model I had a spare of. A Proto Shoggoth. An Elder Shoggoth is what I think the model was. And then at that point I was like, I still don't have enough, but I had a pre-painted Beholder mini I bought like years ago and never used. I was like, that Beholder, screw it. Threw that on the table too. And I'm not kidding. It didn't matter. Like, let me be clear. The extra Shoggoth and the Beholder, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. Those were not planned, right? It was the Golem and the 6 mages. I heard about the Horn of Valhalla. I said, I'm screwed. So not only did I have to paint those extra models then, we paced it out through the day. And then there was a thing I wasn't fully privy to because, we were all planning so many different elements. And there was, what do you, like, I wasn't, in on all the technical stuff. I wasn't in on the mile stuff. I saw elements of it. But yeah, Martin printed some very specific tokens. And boy, did a bidding war get kicked off. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. The 20 for natural 20s. That was actually really, really fun. And the fact that Craig, he would deliver these on a real silver platter. And,
so players
Nathan's
could
stream,
pay.
you got to watch that. That's fun.
Yeah, players could pay. Well, anyone could pay, but the players would also earn, before the stream started, $20 for a guaranteed nat 20 on a roll you did. And you declare it before you roll. And I think they started with like 2 nat 20s a player at the start of the stream, plus like some inspiration and extra potions. Like, I lost, like, it was pay to win. Like, I'm gonna be very clear. It was an amazing game, but it was 100% a pay to win situation. And quite literally, because the bidding war, there's numerous times when when Craig, kudos to Craig, shout out to the Warhammer store in Wilmington, Delaware, that he runs as well. Give him some love. Because he kept coming out with a literal silver platter as people would make donations to give the players nat 20s And then they started starting to give me nat 20s just to balance things a little bit, so I'm not getting worked over. Because I
Yeah.
had 2 paladins with guaranteed crits
Mm.
that like are shooting down enemies with
Mhm.
over 100 damage in a single shot.
Mhm.
And then they said second attack. Like
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah, it was
But
pretty
like
wild.
yeah, but like also like we kept it going because everyone's kind of in on it, and let me be clear, they were my players were playing for real. They were just kind of holding back so that way, right? We could make an entertaining show. As much as I want to say that it did, and you can see in my face the same face I'm making now, it was a chaotic mess.
Yeah,
But
it was.
I will say, I think, speaking for myself, very biased, I think we avoid. I encourage people to watch it too because if you're ever a DM that feels like, oh, my players don't respect my game, or if you actually no, if you want to see like how to run a kind of wacky game where like like a lot of Schadenfreude for the DM,
Yeah.
with a lot of my games, I lean into that because it's fun for the players and I
Mhm.
allow them that space. And I like kudos to all 6 of the guys I had, to Charlotte, to Wes, to Paul, to Tim, to oh my god, to I had that was Leaping Cloud I had at my table. I can't remember his real name. And to Trask, to Adam, to everybody at my table. I had like all of them were so committed to making sure it was still an entertaining game. Like no one was trying to steal spotlight and be the biggest comedian at the table. Like they were
Right.
letting the game be funny, but goodness, like they were definitely like a funny game that came from it as well, and still an epic one. Kevin, that was it. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, with his beard, with his like
Yeah.
beard hat he did too to get like fully into character. Like
Yeah.
just the God, we were having a good time. The donation incentives had me wearing goofy costumes on that dang stream. Oh my goodness, that was
Yeah,
for the children.
it was definitely a fun, yeah, we talked about it too. It's like, "This is all gonna happen at Nathan's table. This is all gonna go down there. This should be hilarious." But you handled it, really, really well, and again, the players made it, a lot more fun, because they played and leaned into every part of it too, and wanted it to be something that was not only entertaining for other people to watch, but entertaining for themselves to play, which I think is, kind of critical to the whole operation.
I mean, like when you're building a community too, make no mistake, a community is it can take a lot of drive from a single person or from a small group of individuals, but there anytime you are doing anything, right? If you're trying to create any kind of community, whether it's your own D&D community at your own local bar or your local game store or your office or wherever else, it doesn't have to be tabletop RPGs. It can be a board game group, a video game group, a college club, any of these things. Even though there's the drive of one person or a small group, sometimes your kind of leadership positions, it doesn't take much that every individual can contribute to make the entire experience better for everyone. Like we have players in our own that they're contributing their D&D Beyond like subscriptions and inviting people in, so everyone has access who can't afford access to all the materials can share and use them. We have just having other veteran DMs who can quickly help with the rules uh
Mhm.
explanation or help by taking on DMing for a session. We got Martin doing our 3D printing, players who can just help with painting, whether it be showing other players how to paint their own models or just volunteering to paint their own. Just an expansive player base, like having a great group of people to play with. All of these elements can come into making a cool community and doing your own, tabletop for chop or whatever event you want to do in your own home games or home experiences. And we are so blessed to have ours, but I mean, there are communities like this all around. They're just waiting to be started in some way.
Absolutely, and from our perspective, and something that we've learned, throughout this whole thing is, maintaining a certain level of transparency. You want to make sure your players know where you're going and know what you're trying to do, and that you do have a lot of this under control. You're not just kind of winging it. There are times when we get into the situations we're just trying to figure it out, and it is by doing. But we have a very accommodating community that wants us to succeed, and they understand that our success in this endeavor just leads to their success and the more fun they have in the game. So, all the way around, it is such a kudos to our players, and kudos to this just community of being willing to listen to our vision and listen to what we, really want to do with this.
And I think the other key element too, and I don't want to sound like we're just tooting our own horn, but in giving advice to others who want to do this, is legitimately, I know the energy that we put out is, we say we're excited to talk about every single episode we do here on the podcast, and it's the same thing. Like, Sean and I aren't doing this because like we're hoping to be the next, Critical Role. We're not doing this because we're trying to make money. We've got big plans for things that we want to do as we head into this next year. But I mean, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, I say again, I started doing this because I said, yeah, I've been meaning to run more one shots, and I want to be able to experiment and try new things. And dude, I'm running some of the best, most fun D&D of my life. It might be trash by other people's standards, but to me, like, let me be clear. I got to run a false Hydra game at our most recent session in December. Right. I had someone print a false Hydra model for me, totally free. I got to paint it up. I've learned to paint models in the past year. And then I got to run a false Hydra game and mess with my players' heads. And it was unlike anything I've run before. And I had an amazing time with it. Like, Sean, we're talking into YouTube and Spotify, like doing this right now. Like you said earlier, like we were talking about milestones this year, and you're like, oh yeah, and we started a podcast. I was like, oh yeah, and like the thing we're doing right now. Like I got to do an on-stream game. Like, my mom got to be at home watching her baby up on the TV as he does his D&D thing. Like, are we pulling in millions of numbers? No, but right now, dude, we say it over and over again because it's true. This is so much fun. Like, I'm having a blast doing this.
Yeah, for me, I have my selfish reasons for this to a certain degree is that I love writing stories. I am so story driven. A lot of my games aren't as mechanically driven. They're very story. I love writing stories, and having this opportunity that the Vanguard presents to us to just explore this game and explore your story writing, your DMing. Almost, with enough support, you have plenty of support around you so you can try new things. You can try a game that you weren't 100% sure of and see how it works. And this community has been great about that. That, to me, being able to write and expand into this story concept from where it started to where we are now, it's mind-blowing. We're almost through 2 years of this campaign, which is just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I cannot express, even in 2024, which has been a interesting year for me personally, how awesome it has been. Just not only having the Vanguard as a creative outlet, but it's just a thing to look forward to every month. Been times when I've been tired, right? There have been times when, God, honestly, like coming back for December was rough because I was still like so tired of it. And like sometimes, like I got painting to do right now. I'm like, I want to be clear, like there's work, and I don't want to make it sound like every second I'm like, let's go. Like there are times when I'm like, man, like Marvel Rivals came out. Like I'm gonna be real. But God, I'm so grateful for all of it, and I do this for me. I want you to know, for the record, I am still just a contractor. Like
this is still one. This is the one you're gonna do.
Yeah, we're on a case by case basis. So I'm saying like a lot at this point because there's just so much genuinely to like, and man, it's been a blast.
This whole year has been such a trip from the beginning, and when we decided, hey, let's pick a charity. Let's start to see if this community that we've built in the first 8 months of doing this, that can we really, what kind of impact can we have? The community's big enough, we should be able to do that. And that was something we were really proud of. And you look at some of these great numbers. We do have some really fun numbers in our social media.
Yeah, it's bigger now. I won't bog
it down. Yeah, it started out, I mean, Facebook people, at the beginning of the year, we had 77 members in the guild. Now we're at 187. To me, that's mind-blowing.
We got 90 new Discord members this year.
Yeah, which pushing us to 100, almost 130. Just the Facebook page and the traffic that we've been able to, it grew so much, but it also gave us, it gives us so much, attention through the Facebook algorithm. We're reaching like almost a couple 100,000 Facebook accounts this year alone as a new thing, as people to see what we do and what we're new. And that's what I think kind of contributed to this massive growth. And like we got 9,000 subscribers, all you out here on YouTube that have
This is our first year
clicked
on
and
YouTube.
stuff.
We haven't been on YouTube for a year yet. Like
Not
we
even a
started
year,
this
yeah.
year, and we have over 9,000 subs, 3,500 watch hours.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! And then I know we're starting off with, we've got Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon. Like we're expanding our footprint as well too, just trying to spread the love of this and reach more people. And anyone who's just checking out and like, hey, they're still new. Are they planning on still going with this? Yes, like we're very much still planning on. I don't know if you heard, I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah. We're definitely 2025. We have some big plans, and we definitely want to make this a bigger thing. And when you look at what we did in 2024, the grand year-end total of just over $16,800 for the charity. Some of these stats are kind of fun. We're top 50 individual donators, top 75 in the country of team donators for Extra Life. I think that's fantastic. And
yeah, we had like $7,000-8,000 of that was raised on Tabletop for Chop Day.
Right.
Like
we
almost
had that
half
week
of.
before.
Oh my god! I mean, so we're clear. We're spouting numbers because 'tis the end of the year. This is the time when everyone does number stuff. It was between this and like a top 10, right? But
Right.
we're talking about these numbers because like we're excited with the growth that we have had so far. But also I want to be clear again, we're not doing this for the numbers. This is just this is just fun.
These numbers kind of validate our effort to a certain degree. To me, it validates the time and the commitment, because sometimes I'm on the road, I'm writing stuff on airplanes, and where I'm going all over the country for my day job. Just you squeeze in, and I love doing it, even though I'm tired and I'm exhausted. And I'll edit this and flip this around as fast as I can because I enjoy doing it, and knowing that we have a community that is listening and it wants to enjoying the content that we're producing, that makes it that much, that adds to the inspiration and adds to the motivation for us to do this. So please like, comment, subscribe. If you see us at a convention, say hey. Anything that we want to, that we're doing, we always want to share with our community. So definitely the comments really help. It really help.
Yeah, we want to grow the community specifically. Not the numbers are so cool, but also like we only get those numbers because of the community we have and the community we're growing, and we want to grow the community first, as the numbers will come later. So cool. Oh, Sean, it's been an amazing year doing the Vanguard Chronicles podcast.
Yeah, it has. I couldn't believe we're doing it.
Yeah, we'll say this again at the actual 1 year of the podcast in March, but like for 2024, I mean, it's been an incredible Vanguard year. Yeah, I ran a false Hydra. I started painting models this year. We will have a money shot of all the models I painted this year. Oh my god!
Yeah, we may run that at the end of the show here. We'll just run a little montage of.
Here's a fun number
all the
for
minis
you.
And stuff.
You want numbers? Predominantly for the Vanguard. I shouldn't say exclusively. Predominantly for the Vanguard. So Warhammer Age of Sigmar dropped their new edition this year, and they have a mode called Spearhead, which is like pre-built armies. Just because it was convenient for the models, I now went from 0 a year ago to I have 7 full Warhammer armies.
Wow.
Not exclusively purchased for the Vanguard, but I will say at least like 5 of those 7 had stuff that was bought specifically for the Vanguard. So there's another fun stat for you.
Yeah.
God.
We also think we're almost at 100 stories written for this, adventures that we've written.
That too. I've DM'd over 20 sessions.
Yeah, you've hit 20. I'm somewhere around 16 myself. And writing new ones every month is a challenge, but it's a fun challenge. It really exercises your ability as a DM. And we've made comments before. This is DMing on hard. It's
we did the joint. We've had multiple multi-table sessions,
multi-table gameplay. Something
we did that this year. Oh my god,
that could be a whole podcast itself, and how a multi-table gameplay can be run. I mean, we could talk about that for.
I think we teased that a while ago and never did.
Yeah. We should definitely do a how to put together a multi-table gameplay. That could be a fun episode. What are we going to talk about next time, though? I think we do want to talk about some of these other we had a nice little topic about mechanics we were wanting to get into for our
so
beginning of next year podcast.
We don't know our cutesy thumbnail name yet, but specifically in thinking about like not necessarily the multi-table gameplay, but between that, we've done some cool time bendy stuff in our sessions. I mentioned the false Hydra session that I just ran, and anyone who knows about the false Hydra knows how that can be a challenge. We wanted to talk about specifically, we're going to come up with our name for it, but making memorable mechanics or making unique sessions, specifically taking the formula of your typical, right, start a tavern or start at the dungeon, but the point is, right, do the dungeon delve, fight the boss, right? The typical structure of a lot of one-shots, how to tweak that, and like some examples of really cool, really unique or different ways to approach still doing a D&D session, but one that is entirely memorable and unique. And we will do our best to have a better name than that, because I don't think that fits the thumbnail.
A little shorter, yeah, that might be more helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In the meantime, I want to encourage everybody, if you are listening to this right now on our Spotify, on Apple Music, on YouTube at all, please check out our Twitch stream, because I know we'll be restreaming the Tabletop for Chop, the games themselves, or also check for the VOD on YouTube as well. Please watch the games, not just mine. Watch Charlotte's amazing game, watch Jeremy's amazing game. Watch our test streams, and forgive us for the audio, and just look at the comparison between all of them. But if you really want to see the kind of games we run and the kind of amazing stuff we do, we encourage you, please, on top of subscribing, on top of liking and checking those out, watch them for yourself, just to see that, I mean, this is what we do and what we're having a blast doing. And while you're doing it, our question of the day, our question of the episode, please, we want to hear from you. Whether you're part of our regular community, or you're our new listeners, or you're someone who hasn't commented yet, what was your favorite moment of the Tabletop for Chop stream? I know most of our players will say it's the part that got cut off in the VOD, where Ryan and I got pied in the face, but that is not eligible, because I think the VOD clipped that off. So assuming it's not on there,
we blew past the 12-hour limit of YouTube.
Dang. But yeah, if you can, please watch and tell us what your favorite part of it was. I can think of several amazing moments from that day for me. And also, if you're at MagFest, the 26th, I believe, MagFest Prime in National Harbor, Maryland, at the end of the month in January, I will be there just roaming around. I'm running a panel as well. If you look for I have to remember what cutesy name I gave it, the Roll and Write Royale. We're doing a battle royale with Roll and Writes. Please come to the panel, come check it out. I'm there to hang out. I'll do pictures, talk to anybody. I go to MagFest every year, and I would love to meet somebody through this podcast. So please, if you're going to MagFest, please absolutely come say hi. If you see me around the show, I'll be wearing MagFest merch, or Vanguard merch, as well as the MagFest merch I purchase. Say hi.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening, for tuning in and watching this latest episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys all in 2025. Hey, everyone. At the beginning of the episode, you might have heard us mention that as a special donation incentive for Tabletop for Chop, myself and our producer Ryan each got pied in the face at the end of the event. Well, to close out this episode, we'll do it the same way we did there. No, I'm not taking a pie in the face now, but you can see what happened then. Thank you all for watching, and have a good one.
Thank you again for everybody who's watched and everybody who's been a part of this all day. I have one more last number to give out. We have an anonymous corporate donor. Our new number is $13,809. Woo! Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm getting out of the way. These guys are going to get pied.
Have at it.
Okay.
Do it. Go.
Here we go.
It's there. On three. 1, 2,
3.
And I didn't get hit at all. Thank you so much. I cannot even see. This has been Nathan, hilarious. Where are you? A great day. Where are you, Nathan? Are you having a pie in your face too? Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much.
YouTube for watching yet another episode of the Vanguard Chronicles podcast. We hope you had as much fun as we did recording it. While you're here, go ahead and please answer the question of the week down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, help us out with those metrics, and absolutely subscribe so you know when more of our content's coming. Sean, I had a great time, and I hope you did, and I can't wait to see everyone on the next one.